Hi everyone, my name is Yegor, and today I'll be sharing with you guys my quick thoughts on target test prep, which I used to prepare for the GMAT. And so, starting off a bit with my background, English is not my first language, and moreover, I did not study anything that was very quant heavy or, let's say, verbal heavy in university, so I was a business major. And while studying, I was also working full time. So on average, I was able to put in maybe 15 to 20 hours a week. And so then, in terms of my first GMAT mock scores, I actually knew that my quant was so rusty that it was basically not worth it to just burn a test. So I never actually did it. But understanding how much I've progressed with target test prep, I think that my baseline score would have been something like 28 quant, 35 verbal, perhaps, right? And then I ended up at 750, 48 quant, 46 verbal, 8 IR, and 6 for the writing part. And so, I didn't use any other resources extensively other than TTP. I only used TTP and then a bit of the OG questions towards the end. TTP was basically the only resource I used because right from the get-go, once I did their free trial, I really liked how everything was structured and how it hit on really all the main topics with a lot of depth, which I think is what some of the other courses lack a bit, right? And so then I came across TTP just by browsing, forums and sort of doing some research and talking to friends who had taken the GMAT before. And overall, I think I used TTP for about 3 months. I actually bought the 6-month package, but hey, I do not regret a single moment of overpaying, right? Because the course was just so good that I feel like even the 6-month package was a fair price. And then honestly, TTP helped me a lot with quant, but also with verbal, believe it or not, right? Or actually, I mean, that's not believe it or not, but I know that TTP is a bit more, usually is a bit more well known for quant, and then verbal, I think they're sort of developing it. But actually, it's the only resource I used for verbal as well, and I scored quite well on it, right? 46 verbal is quite good. So yeah, I'm super happy with it. And then, basically, as I mentioned before, I was studying for about 10 to 15 hours a week. I would put in maybe 1 or 2 hours every workday and then a couple or longer periods of time on the weekends. And basically what I like the most is how well structured the whole thing is. So it's basically divided into chapters that do a great job at both taking you from 0 to 100, but also they kind of build on each other, right? So that was super useful. And honestly, the team at TTP, they're constantly improving the platform. So probably by the time this review is live, they've already implemented a few other changes, which is also good, right? Because they are always striving to sort of like look at their user base, at their analytics, and try to improve things, which I think is really cool and really good. And I think when I used the software or the platform rather, reading comprehension was not there. So actually for reading comprehension, I just didn't prepare. I did a couple of OG practice problems. And when I say a couple, I mean maybe like 50 or so. And yeah, that was basically it. So then for the rest of my prep, as I said, I only used TTP. For verbal, I loved the sentence correction part. People say it's really thorough, and it is, but with good reason, right? For me, it delivered good results. 46 on verbal, I'm super happy with it. 48 on quant is also quite okay, but, and honestly, considering where I was with my math, super rusty, I'm super happy with it. So yeah, overall, very happy with it. And then the only, I think, maybe not drawback, but think you need to watch out when using TTP is that for sentence correction verbal, there is, so I would say that TTP emphasizes more rules, but then once you switch over to OG questions, there is a lot of like idioms and stuff like this, which aren't strictly covered in TTP because it's kind of very difficult to do, right? I mean, they give you a printout of idioms, but I found those, I mean, they're okay, but I feel like strengthening the idioms part just comes from reading stuff in English generally. For critical reasoning, I liked it a lot as well. And actually, I felt like both the TTP and the OG questions were comparable, right? Overall. And then what else? Let's see. In terms of quant, I mean, I already talked about it. They have a bit of this sort of I guess analytics dashboard, which I didn't use too much, to be honest, but I know some people that do, so I think that's quite cool. And in terms of my overall journey, right? So I started from the get-go focusing on quant because I knew just out of intuition that that was a bit of my weaker part, even though I'm good at mental math. The thing is, a lot of the concepts tested in the GMAT are kind of like high school math level type of stuff. And personally, this was like over a decade ago for me, so I did not remember anything. I basically started at a quite rusty level, let's put it this way. But then with TTP, I was able to quickly catch up. And so every day I would split my hours, at first a bit more quant heavy, but then towards the end I would do like a 50-50 split. And then I think, honestly, without TTP, I don't think I would have been able to score such a good score because the problems in GMAT Club, I mean, they're of course super useful and the contributors and the team and the people that post there do a great job. But it's also a bit kind of like disorganized and you have to really understand what you're looking for specifically. So for me, GMAT Club was more like, okay, I know I have to target this specific area, so let me go ahead and find those kind of problems, right? For example, hard geometry problems or properties of numbers. I think that's a topic with which almost everyone has a bit of a fight with, let's put it this way. Then what's my personal advice? I would say don't be like me and take a initial an initial mock exam because that's gonna give you a better, let's say, a more accurate picture of what your strengths and your weaknesses are. And I know that it's the score you get there is just like your starting point. I think honestly I would have probably gotten like a sub 500 score, and in 3 months, about 20 hours a week, I was able to bring it up to 750. My second piece of advice, I think, is when you're studying, right, actually be productive. So turn off your phone, no distractions, no random texting or scrolling through Instagram or anything like this. Just kind of like really focus on internalizing what you're doing, because otherwise you will be just putting in hours without really synthesizing or internalizing the stuff that you're working on. So then it's going to be a bit counterproductive almost, right? So overall, I really recommend Target Test Prep. I think it's a great platform for both quant and verbal. My final recommendation, I think, is also do buy the OG problems because they just have a bit of a different feel to them, especially the verbal part, right? But it doesn't mean that you cannot use TTP to prepare. So actually, if you have bought the OG problems already or the OG guide, you will find that, well, there's not a lot that it tells you how to study for it, right? It just kind of gives you problems. So the way I see it is I would use TTP to prepare. Then once you're pretty comfortable that, hey, you're hitting good accuracies, you're feeling pretty good, you're, right where you want to be more or less with your target score, or you're, maybe not with your target score, but you've completed the course and you think, okay, now it's time to sort of like move on to the next step. Then do the OG problems for a bit. Take a mock or a few mocks actually and see how you do on those. Of course, make sure you're fresh when you're taking those. Do not do them after a full day of work because I think your score will suffer. Even if you feel like it won't, trust me, it will. And overall, if you can, do sign up for the program. I think it's great everything pretty much. So highly recommend it, and good luck with your GMAT prep.